Well, we're a little more than 24 hours away from the exam. I think for the first time zone that'll be writing, maybe a little over 36 hours away from the exam from the last time zone that'll be writing. So let's take a few minutes out. Let's review some tips that will help you in the exam room, and we'll review some exam policies that you should be aware of before you even show up to the exam center. So let's run through these. I'll go through them quickly. I know you're pressed for time. Number one, pay attention to the direction of the question. And by direction, I mean, is it positively worded or negatively worded? So a positive question will ask, what is most likely? What is most accurate? Which statement is correct? Negatively worded, what is least likely? Least accurate? Which statement is incorrect? And I'm sure that resonates for many of you if you've done mock exams or quiz questions or question banks and gotten some things wrong only to realize later, oh, it's asking for least likely. Oh, okay, I get it now. You're going to give up points if you don't pay attention. Circle what's being asked. Most, least, incorrect, correct. Circle it, then answer the question, then ask yourself. Take a second and say, did I answer what was asked of me, or did I answer what I think was asked of me? Make sure you're not giving up those marks. You will get questions that are negatively worded, and you will get questions that are positively worded in the direction. So pay attention. Number two, there are two ways to answer a question. You can read a question and go, okay, so I don't know the answer to this one, and you may be tempted to move on to the next one. Before you do that, ask yourself, look at the answer options and say, can I eliminate some of this stuff? Because I might be able to answer this question by looking at the answers and going, well, clearly it's not A and clearly it's not B. So you might have a quantitative question which asks you to solve for a value of something, and you know the value is going to be negative. You know that much. You're just not sure exactly how to get there. And you look down, you see two positive numbers and a negative. Well, there you go. Job done. Sometimes there's no need to calculate. Just recognizing that it'll be a negative number or positive number might get you halfway there. If you can eliminate one and you have to guess, well, you got a 50-50 chance now. That's better than a 33% chance on your guessing, right? So just because you don't know how to get to the answer, just look at the answer or the answer choices. You might be able to get there just by saying, well, I know it's not this and I know it's not that. Well, there can only be one right answer, right? You may not have to calculate, as I just said. Number three, longer questions. Read the question stem first. This is particularly true for ethics. It's hard to ask an ethics question in 2 or 3 sentences because you need to set up a scenario, you need to set up a conflict in that scenario and ask the question. So it's a lot of words. And the answers may be more wordier than you would like as well. So go to the last sentence in the ethics question. If it's long, go to the last sentence and read what you're being asked for first. Then read, because now you're reading with the actual question in your mind instead of reading a scenario and saying, well, what's the question here? Get the question in your head first. It'll save you time having to reread the scenario again. Ethics, yeah, they can be wordy questions. They will extract time out of you if you let them. Number 4, guessing. If you have to guess at something, I seem to think that a strategy of selecting the same guess each time it gives you a better probability of at least getting 33% on those guesses, as opposed to chasing the answer around. So if you're going to guess and you have, let's say, 12 questions at the end that you just don't know and you're going to guess all B or all A. That, I think, gives you the best chance of playing the odds and saying, look, that's going to get me at least 33% of these questions. Chasing the answer around, sometimes your best guess might actually do worse for you. Now, when I say guess, if you can eliminate, let's say you're going to select B. If you can eliminate B as a choice, well, now you have a choice between A and C. Do not leave an answer blank, ever. Even if you don't know it, if you say, well, I don't know these 12, there's no point in answering them, there is no penalty for a wrong answer. If you've got 5 minutes left and there are 12 questions left and you don't know them, just guess. Go down that bubble sheet, B, 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 fill them all in B. Out of those 12, the odds say, well, on average, you're going to get 4 of them right. That's a lot better, walking out with 4 extra points and just saying, well, I don't know the answer, I'm just going to leave it blank. Reason I say that is because on the mock exams on our site, you can do them online. There are some who submit the mock exams with questions unanswered. I look at that and I think, well, what's the point of leaving it blank? You should have at least guessed what the question was. Number 5, very, very important. Each question is worth 1 point. Don't let a question tie you up for 3 or 4 minutes. You got 90 seconds a question. That sounds like a short period of time, right? You have 90 seconds a question, move on. And yeah, you might be on one where you go, well, hang on, I'm almost there. I can get this. And you keep trying and it's frustrating you and you're thinking, but this is so simple. Why am I having such a hard time? Move on. It's only worth 1 point. The next question is worth 1 point as well. Each question is worth the same. There's no point in letting a question tie you up for 4 or 5 minutes. Indicate it on the exam paper and move on. Something that you're going to come back to at the end. Non-quantitative questions. This is a nice strategy, I think, for ethics especially. Eliminate any extreme wording. So you can look at the answer questions, and let's say you have an ethics question, and you're not quite sure what the answer is, and you're looking down at the answers. Any answer that uses the word never or always, you should never do this, you should always do that, that's extreme wording. They are typically wrong. So you can, if you have to, and if you're not quite sure how to answer the question, just eliminate the options that have extreme wording. And I would say that's your best bet to getting to the answer because, like I say, extreme wording is typically wrong. Finally, number 7, the CFA exam questions are based on the CFA text, no one else's. So if you're looking at something in the CFA book and it says one thing, and you're looking at something in somebody else's books and it says something else, ignore the something else. The exam is only based on what is in the CFA textbooks and no one else's. So if you come across information that is different or disagrees with what's written in the books, you pay attention to what's in the books only. All right. While you're in the exam, here are a couple things to keep in mind. Number 1, don't look around. Don't look over at another person just to see where they are in the exam, to see if you're ahead or behind. Don't even do that. The proctor's not going to say anything to you right then and there. They're not going to walk over to you and give you a warning, hey, don't look around. They're not going to do that. They're just going to make a note of you. And when you hand in your exam at the very end, they will hand you a notice saying that they spotted a violation. That's it. That's how you're going to find out right at the very end. So don't even take the chance. Don't give them any reason. Just look down at your paper. Don't look around. Number 2, listen to the proctors, whatever direction they give you. They are gods in there, or at least they like to think they're gods, so you need to treat them as such. Number 3, when they say stop, and I can't stress this one enough, and I am not kidding you, you just stop. You throw that pencil out of your hand, you drop it, you get rid of it, you make it very clear that you have nothing in your hands. Take your hands, fold them, and put them behind your head. Give them no reason to think that anything is going on. And even if you're filling in a bubble and you hear the word stop and you think just a little bit more, another second and I got it, don't do it. As soon as you hear the word stop, stop. That's it. Because again, no one's going to walk over to you and say anything. You'll think that, okay, everything is fine till you hand it in and they hand you a notice saying that they spotted a violation. You typically lose those violations. So you can say, I didn't do anything wrong, and that's fine. You cannot register for the next exam until that thing is settled out, and that can take 4, 5, 6 months before it settles out, and typically they'll side with the proctors on this one, because if it turns into a he said, she said sort of thing, well, the proctor rules on that one. The quickest way to settle these things is just to say, okay, fine, I'll admit that I did it. Even though I didn't, I'll admit that I did it so I can register to write the same exam again. So number 3, when they say stop, just stop. Drop your pencils. If it falls off the desk and rolls onto the floor, leave it. Just leave it. Don't touch your eraser. Don't touch anything. Don't even give them a reason. 4 and 5, calculator and watch. You can bring a backup calculator in if you want. You can bring in batteries, calculator batteries, and a little screwdriver if you need to unscrew something on the back of your calculator. If you have the Texas Instrument BA2 Plus, I think the little door on the back just slides open. But you can bring in extra batteries. You just have to have them out of the package. But yeah, you can bring them in. A watch, you can bring in a watch, and I advise this. Have it right on your desk for time management. Nothing fancy. A watch with hands is probably the easiest thing to bring in, because there's not a lot of questioning about, well, what does it do? Is it a smart watch? Can it do this? Can it do that? There's no chance that it'll be denied. If you have a digital watch, you can bring that in, but it has to have no alarms or make no sound, no chimes on the hour, etc. But you can bring those in. I say keep it really simple. Bring a watch with hands in so that you have it in front of you. Let's look at some exam policies for CFA, and in the description for this video, in the description box, if you're watching it on YouTube, I'll put a link to this particular web page, which has all of the exam policies. All right, we'll take a bit of time here. We'll walk through some of these. I don't think we have to walk through all of them, but let's just go through them just so that I know that you know what's going on here. Here's the admission and departure policy. You must present your international travel passport and one copy of your admission ticket printed on a clean, unused paper to be admitted into the test center. All right? So don't forget those two things. In fact, what you should do right now is you should get those two things, you put them in a bag and hang that bag on your doorknob so that when you leave in the morning, there's the bag hanging on your doorknob with those two things in it. Your ticket is only valid for the test center and exam date listed. Remember, we close the testing room doors before the timed portion of each exam session begins. Arrive at the test center at least 1 hour early so you can complete check-in before we close the doors. If you arrive after the doors are closed, you will not be allowed to enter until after the instructions have been read. Instructions will not be repeated, and no additional testing time will be granted. If you arrive more than 30 minutes after the start of the timed portion of the exam, you will not be permitted to take the exam, and you will forfeit your registration fee. Pretty brutal, huh? You must remain seated in the designated secure proctored test area during the exam, including when the instructions are being read, until all candidates are dismissed. Brief water and toilet breaks are permitted within the secure area. Early departures are not permitted. If you leave the testing room before you are dismissed by testing personnel, you will not be allowed to re-enter, and you may be subject to a professional conduct investigation and disciplinary sanctions. The official time on exam day is the time announced by the designated proctor. If you do not sit for the morning session, you cannot sit for the afternoon session. You must sit for both the morning and the afternoon sessions, or you will not receive an exam result. All right, that's the admission and departure policy. We'll take one step back here. Let's have a look at the exam answer sheet and exam book policy. It is your responsibility to complete the answer sheet and or complete the essay book in accordance with the instructions. You must bring appropriate pens or pencils on exam day. For multiple choice or item set questions, this is level 1, level 2, and the level 3 PM session, your score is determined solely by how your marks are read by the scanning equipment. Marks made by writing instrument other than a number 2 or HB, or marks that do not completely fill the oval, may not be read by the scanning equipment. And they're telling you bluntly, if it's not read by the scanning equipment, that's it. They're not going to look over it after and repair what the scanning equipment didn't do. They're telling you in the first sentence, your score is determined solely by how your marks are read by the scanning equipment. For the essay portion of the exam, it's strongly recommended that you use a number 2 or HB pencil or a blue or black ink pen. For level 1, level 2, and the item set portion of level 3, answers written in the exam books are not graded. For the essay portion of level 3, only answers written on the designated answer page for each question part are graded. Answers written on answer pages designated for other question parts, question pages, or pages marked "this page intentionally left blank" are not graded. You must not open, read, or work on the exam before being instructed to do so by testing personnel. You must not write or erase after being instructed to stop writing. Again, let me stress that. They say stop, stop. That's it. You will be given new exam materials for each session. Your morning exam material will not be returned to you in the afternoon. You are permitted to do scratch work only in the exam book. You may not remove any pages from the book, including pages marked "this page intentionally left blank." You may not use your desk, table covering, hand, paper, admission ticket, or any other surface as scratch paper. The reason is because nothing can leave with you. Nothing at all. Everything that you used must be handed in. Okay, so we've done admission, departure, answer sheet, and exam. Let's look at calculator policy. Only 2 calculator models are authorized. The Texas Instrument BA2 Plus, including the BA2 Plus Pro or the BA2 Pro, and the Hewlett-Packard 12C, including the HP 12C Platinum, 12C Platinum 25th Anniversary Edition, 12C 30th Anniversary Edition. Well, HP's really celebrating the anniversary of this thing, right? And the HP 12C Prestige. Ooh, the Prestige. I don't know too many that have the Hewlett-Packard. The main one that's used, or the most common one that I've seen everywhere, is the Texas Instrument BA2 Plus. Bring the approved calculator with you on exam day. Calculators will not be available at the test center. You may not borrow from or share a calculator with other candidates during the exam. All right, so misconduct and rules violation. We'll look at that. Why not? I've got you here. I've got your attention. Let's do that. Okay, let's just go right down to misconduct includes, but is not limited to. Creating a disturbance during the exam. Giving or receiving assistance on the exam, attempting to communicate with fellow candidates or other persons, and or using books, papers, or other study aids during the exam. Opening, working on, or reading the exam during a time not authorized by testing personnel. Writing or erasing after instructed to stop at the conclusion of the timed portion of the exam. Removing exam materials or notes from the testing room. Taking part in any act of impersonation or other forms of cheating. Failing to follow the directions of testing personnel before, during, and after the exam. Using unapproved calculators, mobile phones, cameras, handsets, computers, tablets, wearable technology such as fitness tracking devices, smartwatches, or any other remote communication or photographic devices during the exam. Using scratch paper, including writing on the front or back of your exam admission ticket before, during, or after the exam. Asking for, receiving, or using unauthorized CFA exam questions or exam prep materials that violate CFA Institute copyright when preparing for the exam. Sharing CFA exam content with others after the administration of the exam. So you can't go online and say, that question about this had these options, I chose this, what did anybody else take? You can't do that. And, by the way, in case you don't know this, they watch the online forums. They have people everywhere watching everything that you do. So during the course of the year, those of you who had Google Drives full of copyrighted material, sharing them, they already know that happened. They already know who you are. So if you're going to go online and talk about these things thinking, oh, nobody knows who I am, they're everywhere. Trust me on this. They'll find you. Don't take the chance. Failing to comply with any CFA Institute testing policy, exam rule, and or CFA Institute governing documents, including the bylaws, code of ethics, standards of professional conduct, and rules of procedure for professional conduct as amended from time to time, and engaging in any other conduct that could be considered by CFA Institute in its sole discretion to compromise or attempt to compromise the reputation, integrity, validity, or security of the CFA exam or CFA Institute. You may think that is, isn't that a lot? Well, here's the thing. You worked hard for this. And you're going to go in and you're going to give it your best effort. How would you feel if someone beside you was getting by with a little bit of cheating? Not fair. So, yeah, it may seem a little harsh, but it protects the integrity of what you have worked to earn, that somebody else can't just come in and steal it. All right, let's see what else we got here. Personal belongings. I think this is important. Personal belongings. Let's go through that. The following items must be kept on your desk: the exam admission ticket, the valid international travel passport, approved calculators, and approved writing instruments. The following items may be kept on your desk if needed. So we have the must and then we have the may. Manual pencil sharpeners, no knives. Erasers with no paper holder or cover. Loose calculator batteries, no packaging, and screwdriver for battery replacement. Calculator cases and keystroke cards. Well, that's interesting, right? Your keystroke cards. Eyeglasses, but not the eyeglass case. Earplugs. Not earbuds, earplugs. That's to block out noise of the exam around you, because, let me tell you, nothing is more annoying than sitting right behind someone or right beside someone who's going every 15 seconds. Sniffing because they got the sniffles every 15 seconds. Try that. And try not to focus on that happening. Or somebody coughing behind you every 10 seconds. That's why you want those earplugs maybe. Wristwatches, analog and digital with alarms and timers silenced. However, all smartwatches are prohibited. The following items are permitted in the testing room but must remain in your pockets or under your chair when not in use. Wallet, money, purse, medicine, tissues, other necessary medical or personal items, gum, hard candy, cough drops, eyeglass case, and keys. The following items are not permitted. Food or drinks. Baggage of any kind, including transparent bags, backpacks, handbags, tote bags, briefcase, luggage, carrying cases, passport covers, or pencil cases. Study materials, including notes, papers, textbooks, or study guides. Well, that makes a lot of sense, I think. Scratch paper, present, future value tables, or calculator manuals. Highlighters, correction fluid, correction tape, or rulers. Weapons of any kind. Yeah, I guess they gotta say it. I mean, it just sounds kind of funny, like walking in with a weapon, but maybe they gotta say it. Mobile phones, cameras, headsets, computers, tablets, wearable technology such as Fitbit or other fitness tracking devices, smartwatches, or any Bluetooth-enabled or remote communication or photographic device, and any type of desk clock or timer. All right, what else do we have here that we can go through? Program identification policy, withdrawal option, refund program. I don't think we need to go through any of these. Let's go through the identification policy just to see what's there. A valid international travel passport issued by a national government which certifies for the purpose of international travel your identity and nationality. So the passport is original document, contains your name, date of birth, etc. Is machine readable, includes a recognizable photograph on the passport data page. Well, that's just saying you need a valid international travel passport and your exam ticket, those two things. So there we go. I'll put this link in the description box below the video on YouTube, that if you want to do a little bit more reading on your own, you can. That's it. Best of luck to everybody in there. I'll see you on the other side.